Jessa Trent had spent most of her life flying through the stars. As a cargo pilot, she was used to long trips between planets, picking up and delivering goods. The work was not glamorous, but it paid well enough. And the universe was big, so there was always something new to see. Today, Jessa was docking her ship, the Starlight Runner, at a small trade station called Orion Outpost. It was one of many tiny hubs scattered on the edge of explored space. The station was old, made of scratched metal and blinking lights, but it was busy with traders, travelers, and all sorts of alien species. Jessa liked the noise and chaos. It made her feel alive. Her job was simple: deliver a shipment of rare minerals to an alien merchant named Kalor. The minerals were valuable, and the price was good. Jessa knew she had to be careful with Kalor. He was from the Vrithari, a proud and serious race known for their sharp tempers. But compared to what was waiting in the shadows of the galaxy, Kalor was a mild inconvenience. Jessa stepped off her ship and walked toward the market area where Kalor's booth was set up. The Vrithari stood tall and thin, with pale blue skin and glowing eyes. He was already waiting, his arms crossed and lips pressed tight. "On time, human," Kalor said, in a voice that sounded like gravel. "Good. I do not like to waste time." Jessa smiled. "You'll have your minerals, no worries." The deal went smoothly at first. Jessa handed over the cargo manifests, and Kalor began inspecting the crystals. But then, a shadow moved behind the booth. A large figure stepped into the light. This was no ordinary trader. The figure was massive, covered in dark armor that looked almost alive. Its skin was a deep red, with black markings that shimmered under the station lights. Its eyes burned with a cold fire, and its presence made the entire area grow silent. Jessa stopped breathing for a moment. She had heard stories about this creature, the Zarkon. They were legends, the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Whole fleets had vanished because of them. No one knew where they came from or what they wanted. But one thing was certain: no one crossed them and lived to tell the tale. The Zarkon warrior looked down at Jessa, his voice like thunder. "Who are you, little human, to trade in my territory?" Jessa tried to hide her fear, but her heart pounded like a drum. She forced a smile and said, "Just a simple trader. No harm meant." The Zarkon growled low in his throat, his sharp teeth visible. "You do not belong here. Leave, or suffer the consequences." Jessa's mind raced. She wanted to apologize, to back away quietly. But then something inside her snapped. She had spent years proving humans were not weak. Why should she cower now? With a firm voice, she replied, "This is space, not your backyard. I have every right to trade where I please." The Zarkon's eyes narrowed. "You speak boldly for a species so small and weak." Jessa laughed, shaking her head. "Weak? You clearly haven't met humans yet." The crowd around them held its breath. This was not wise. Everyone knew the Zarkon were killers, merciless and deadly, but Jessa didn't care. She was tired of fear controlling her life. Kalor stepped forward, alarmed. "Enough. You insult the Zarkon. Do you want war?" Jessa looked the Zarkon in the eye. "If that's what it takes to stand up for ourselves, then yes." The Zarkon raised his massive hand, a sharp blade sliding out from his gauntlet. "You have sealed your fate, human." Jessa took a step back, suddenly very aware of the danger. But before the warrior could strike, the station security arrived, shouting orders and drawing weapons. The Zarkon hesitated, then retreated into the shadows, disappearing as quickly as he had come. The crowd slowly relaxed and whispers began spreading like wildfire. "Did you hear that, human? So bold, so foolish." Jessa's mind was spinning. She had no idea what she had just started. But one thing was clear: nothing would ever be the same again. As she boarded the Starlight Runner and prepared to leave, Jessa glanced at the stars outside the station's windows. Somewhere out there, the Zarkon were watching, waiting. And now, humanity had their attention. The news spread fast. The moment Jessa Trent clashed with the Zarkon warrior at Orion Outpost became a hot topic across Earth and the surrounding colonies. Broadcasts, news feeds, and private conversations buzzed with the same question. Had humanity just made a terrible mistake? At the United Earth Council headquarters high above the glowing city of New Geneva, officials gathered in a sleek conference room. The mood was tense. Commander Ray, the head of Earth's Space Defense Fleet, paced back and forth, her sharp eyes reflecting worry. "We can't ignore this," she said firmly. "The Zarkon are not just any enemy. They're the deadliest species known. Entire fleets have been lost trying to deal with them." Ambassador Lorne, representing Earth in the Galactic Alliance, nodded. "Our diplomats have tried to negotiate to avoid conflict. But this incident with the human pilot makes things worse. The Zarkon see it as a challenge, a direct insult." "We need to decide," said Minister Call, the council leader, rubbing his temples. "Do we apologize and back down, or do we stand our ground?" The room grew silent. The weight of the decision hung heavy in the air. On the distant colony of Epsilon Prime, Jessa sat in a small, crowded cafe scrolling. Through her hollow newsfeed, headlines shouted, "Human pilot provokes deadliest alien race," and "Will Earth face Zarkon wrath?" Jessa sighed and took a sip of bitter coffee. She knew the headlines made her sound reckless, but she wasn't sorry. Not yet. For years, humans had lived in the shadow of stronger, older species afraid to make waves. Now someone had to stand up. Her friend and mechanic, Tarek, slid into the seat beside her. He was small but quick, with bright eyes that never missed a detail. "You really did it this time," Tarek said, half joking but with a serious edge. "The whole galaxy's talking about you." Jessa shrugged. "Maybe it's time we got noticed. Maybe it's time they stopped thinking humans are easy to push around." Tarek shook his head. "Just remember, the Zarkon don't forget. They don't forgive." Meanwhile, in the shadows of deep space, the Zarkon warlord, known as Farkesh, sat on his throne inside a massive starship shaped like a dark beast. His mind burned with rage. The insult from a tiny human pilot was a spark in a dry forest, soon to become a wildfire. Farkesh turned to his second-in-command, a cold and calculating officer named Sarah Joule. "This human thinks we are weak. They believe they can challenge us." Sarah Joule bowed slightly. "What is your command, my lord?" "We will remind them why we are feared. Send our patrols to monitor human colonies. Make sure they understand the price of disrespect." Back on Earth, the government began preparing for war, though they hoped it would never come. Military bases buzzed with activity. Ships were refitted, crews trained. Scientists worked around the clock, trying to understand Zarkon technology, from the few relics recovered in past skirmishes. But the public was divided. Some saw Jessa as a hero, a symbol of human courage and spirit. Others called her reckless, saying she had endangered all of humanity for a moment of pride. On a news program called Galactic Eye, host Mara Vest debated with General Harkin, a seasoned military leader. "Jessa's actions have put Earth at risk," Harkin said. "We should seek peace before it's too late." Mara shook her head. "But how long can we keep hiding? How long can we wait while other species dominate? Jessa's stand is a wake-up call." The debate went viral, sparking protests and rallies. Humans everywhere were forced to choose fear and submission or pride and defiance. Meanwhile, Jessa's life changed. She was invited to speak at public events to inspire others with her story. But every time she looked up at the stars, she knew the Zarkon were out there, watching, waiting. One night, as she stared out from the balcony of her small apartment on Epsilon Prime, her communicator beeped urgently. "Jessa Trent," the voice said. It was Commander Ray. "We need you. Things are moving fast. The Zarkon have attacked a remote colony." Jessa's heart skipped. "Which one?" "Vega's Rest. It's a small mining outpost, lightly defended. They want to send a message." Jessa clenched her fists. "Then we'll have to make sure they get one back." The galaxy was changing, and humanity was no longer a quiet player. They had sparked a fire, and it would burn brighter than anyone expected. The mining colony called Vega's Rest was quiet under its two suns, nestled on a rocky asteroid at the edge of explored space. The workers there were used to long shifts and the silence of the stars. They didn't expect war, but war came without warning. At the edge of the colony's orbit, a fleet of dark, jagged ships appeared like shadows. The Zarkon had arrived. The colony's small defense fleet scrambled to respond. Captain Riel, commanding the Vega's Rest Defense Forces, knew his people were outmatched. The Zarkon ships were larger, faster, and armed with weapons far beyond human technology. "Hold your positions," Riel ordered, voice calm but firm. "Protect the colony at all costs." On the ground, miners and technicians prepared for the worst. Families huddled in shelters, praying the violence would pass quickly. The Zarkon warlord, Barkesh, led the attack. His ship hovered like a dark god above the colony, directing strikes with deadly precision. The first salvo tore through a mining rig, sending molten rock and metal flying into space. Explosions lit the sky as the colony's defenses fired back, but the Zarkon weapons cut through human shields like paper. Back on Earth, the news of the attack spread like wildfire. Commander Ray watched the live feed from the defense fleets. Command center, her face tight with worry. "We can't let Vega's Rest fall," she said. "Send reinforcements. Prepare the fleet for battle." Meanwhile, Jessa Trent was already on her way. She had volunteered for the mission to join the defense fleet and help coordinate with the colony's forces. Her knowledge of Zarkon tactics, limited though it was, made her valuable. As her ship approached the battle zone, the scene was chaos. Lasers streaked through space, ships exploded in fiery bursts, and the silence of the stars was shattered by the roar of war. Jessa's communicator crackled. "Jessa, this is Captain Riel. We need all the help we can get. The Zarkon are relentless." Jessa's hands tightened around the controls. "I'm coming in. Let's show them what humans can do." The battle raged for hours. The Zarkon pressed their advantage, striking hard and fast, but humanity fought back with fierce determination. Pilots took risks no one expected. Engineers worked miracles repairing damaged ships under fire. In one desperate moment, a Zarkon dreadnought locked its weapons on the colony's main power generator. If it was destroyed, the colony would lose life support and communications. Jessa spotted the threat on her scanner. "I'm going after that dreadnought," she said. "If we lose the generator, we're done." Captain Riel nodded. "Be careful, Jessa." Flying her fighter through a hailstorm of enemy fire, Jessa weaved between lasers and missiles. Her training and instincts took over. She targeted the dreadnought's weapon systems, firing precision blasts. The dreadnought rocked under the hits but fired back, a massive beam striking near Jessa's ship and sending her spinning. Her shields flared, but she held on. With a final push, Jessa's missiles hit the dreadnought's engine core. The massive ship shuddered, then exploded in a brilliant fireball, debris scattering across space. "Dreadnought destroyed," Jessa reported. The colony's defenders cheered as the battle slowly turned. The Zarkon ships began to retreat, their formations breaking apart. Captain Riel's voice came over the comms, tired but relieved. "You saved us, Jessa. We owe you our lives." Jessa smiled, though her body ached from the fight. "We all did this together. Humans don't give up easy." The battle was over, but the cost was clear. The colony was damaged, lives lost. The Zarkon had made their point. They could strike anywhere, anytime. On the Starlight Runner, Jessa looked out at the stars once more. The universe had grown darker, more dangerous, but she also saw something new, the strength of humanity, fierce, stubborn, and ready to fight. This was only the beginning. The defeat at Vega's Rest sent shockwaves through human space. The Zarkon were no longer just a distant threat. They had shown their power, and humanity felt vulnerable. Yet, instead of hiding, Earth's leaders decided to take an unusual step, reaching out to other alien species who had also faced the Zarkon's wrath. In the vast halls of the Galactic Alliance Embassy on the planet Sirel, Ambassador Lorne stood before a gathering of representatives. The room was filled with a mix of races, some tall and slender, others short and stout, all wary but listening. We face a common enemy, Lorne began. The Zarkon threaten us all. Alone, none of us can stop them. But together we stand. A chance. Murmurs filled the room. Some aliens nodded, remembering their own losses to the Zarkon. Others looked skeptical. Many had little trust in humans after years of isolation and misunderstandings. Among the delegates was the Greylock, a tough, armored species known for their strength and combat skills. Their leader, Gorik, crossed his arms and said gruffly, "Humans have never been strong allies. Why should we trust you now?" Lorne met his gaze steadily. Because we share the same goal: survival. In the back of the room, a shadow moved. It was Jessa Trent, invited by Earth's leaders to share her experiences and help build trust. She spoke with honest passion about humanity's fight at Vega's Rest. "We may be new to galactic politics," she said, "but we have heart, and we learn fast. The Zarkon may be dangerous, but they don't know what humans are capable of." Slowly, the mood shifted. The alien representatives began to see humans not as weak newcomers, but as determined fighters. After long discussions and debates, a fragile alliance formed. Each species would contribute what they could: ships, technology, and soldiers. Back on Earth, scientists and engineers worked together with alien experts to combine their technologies. The humans shared their innovations in adaptive shielding and quick repairs, while the Greylock offered heavy weapons and armor designs. Jessa was assigned to a special unit that trained pilots from different species to work as one. She found herself flying alongside a pilot from the Alex, a bird-like species known for their speed and sharp senses. "Trust is hard between us," said her new wingmate, Kyle, during a training exercise. "But if we want to survive, we must learn." Jessa nodded. "Then let's make sure the Zarkon regret ever picking a fight with us." Meanwhile, intelligence reports showed the Zarkon were increasing their patrols near human and allied colonies. They were testing the Alliance's strength, looking for weaknesses. On the Starlight Runner, Jessa prepared for a covert mission to gather detailed information about Zarkon movements. The task was dangerous, but crucial. As her ship slipped past patrols, Jessa's mind raced. She remembered the first time she faced the Zarkon, how fear and courage mixed in her veins. Now she wasn't alone. She carried the hopes of many species united. Suddenly, sensors picked up an enemy scout ship. It was fast and heavily armed. Jessa's heart pounded. She activated her stealth systems and maneuvered skillfully, avoiding detection. Using what she had learned from allies, she hacked the scouts' communication, listening in on their plans. The Zarkon were preparing for a larger assault on a key supply route, hoping to cut off the Alliance's resources. Jessa sent the information back to the fleet. The Alliance had time to prepare. As she flew back through the starfield, a strange feeling settled over her. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but also new friendships and hope. The fight against the Zarkon was far from over, but for the first time, humanity was not alone. The combined fleet of humans and their new allies assembled near the disputed star system of Taylor 5. It was the first test of the fragile coalition against the Zarkon. The tension was thick. Every pilot, soldier, and officer knew the stakes were high. Jessa Trent stood on the bridge of the Starlight Runner, surrounded by officers from different species. The air buzzed with nervous energy. Outside the viewport, countless ships from many races floated in formation, their weapons ready. "Commander," Ray approached Jessa, "this is it. We fight not just for survival, but for respect. The galaxy will see what humans bring to the table." Jessa nodded. "Let's show them the human spirit." The Zarkon fleet arrived like a shadow, a massive dark wall moving through space. Their ships were sleek and deadly, with energy weapons that could cut through shields in seconds. The battle began with a roar. Lasers and missiles filled the void. Explosions lit the darkness as ships collided and broke apart. At first, the Zarkon had the upper hand. Their coordinated strikes and powerful weapons threatened to break the Alliance's lines. But the coalition fought back fiercely. Jessa piloted her fighter through the chaos, dodging blasts and returning fire. She worked closely with Kale, her Alix wingmate, whose quick reflexes saved them both more than once. Suddenly, the Zarkon unleashed a new weapon, a massive energy cannon capable of disabling multiple ships at once. The Alliance fleet was caught off guard. Several ships went dark, drifting helpless. Commander Ray ordered a retreat, but Jessa had a different idea. "We can't run." "Not now," she said. "If we use their own tactics against them, we can turn this around." She suggested a daring plan, using small, fast fighters to strike the cannon's power source while the larger ships distracted the Zarkon fleet. The commanders agreed, trusting Jessa's instinct. Jessa and her team raced toward the giant cannon, weaving through enemy fire. The cannon's defenses were strong, but Jessa's quick thinking helped them find a weak spot. With precise shots, they disabled the weapon's power core. The cannon exploded in a bright flash, throwing the Zarkon fleet into confusion. The Alliance seized the moment. Ships pressed forward, pushing the Zarkon back. The tide of battle shifted. As the fight ended, the Alliance suffered losses, but the victory was clear. The Zarkon retreated, leaving the Coalition fleet in control of Taylor Vi. Back on the Starlight Runner, cheers filled the room. Jessa's role was praised by allies and humans alike. The victory sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Stories spread of the unpredictable humans who dared to fight the deadliest species, and won. Barkesh, the Zarkon warlord, received word of the defeat. His rage was fierce. No one had ever outsmarted him like this before. He vowed to crush the Alliance and teach humans their place. But deep down he knew something had changed. Humans were no longer weak. Their courage and cleverness made them dangerous. Jessa looked at the stars, thinking about the battles ahead. The war was far from over, but now humanity had earned a new kind of power, the power of hope, unity, and the human edge. The combined fleet of humans and their new allies assembled near the disputed star system of Taylor V. It was the first test of the fragile coalition against the Zarkon. The tension was thick. Every pilot, soldier, and officer knew the stakes were high. Jessa Trent stood on the bridge of the Starlight Runner, surrounded by officers from different species. The air buzzed with nervous energy. Outside the viewport, countless ships from many races floated in formation, their weapons ready. "Commander." Ray approached Jessa. "This is it. We fight not just for survival, but for respect. The galaxy will see what humans bring to the table." Jessa nodded. "Let's show them the human spirit." The Zarkon fleet arrived like a shadow, a massive, dark wall moving through space. Their ships were sleek and deadly, with energy weapons that could cut through shields in seconds. The battle began with a roar. Lasers and missiles filled the void. Explosions lit the darkness as ships collided and broke apart. At first, the Zarkon had the upper hand. Their coordinated strikes and powerful weapons threatened to break the Alliance's lines. But the Coalition fought back fiercely. Jessa piloted her fighter through the chaos, dodging blasts and returning fire. She worked closely with Kyle, her Alix wingmate, whose quick reflexes saved them both more than once. Suddenly, the Zarkon unleashed a new weapon, a massive energy cannon capable of disabling multiple ships at once. The Alliance fleet was caught off guard. Several ships went dark, drifting helpless. Commander Ray ordered a retreat, but Jessa had a different idea. "We can't run." "Not now," she said. "If we use their own tactics against them, we can turn this around." She suggested a daring plan, using small, fast fighters to strike the cannon's power source while the larger ships distracted the Zarkon fleet. The commanders agreed, trusting Jessa's instinct. Jessa and her team raced toward the giant cannon, weaving through enemy fire. The cannon's defenses were strong, but Jessa's quick thinking helped them find a weak spot. With precise shots, they disabled the weapon's power core. The cannon exploded in a bright flash, throwing the Zarkon fleet into confusion. The Alliance seized the moment. Ships pressed forward, pushing the Zarkon back. The tide of battle shifted. As the fight ended, the Alliance suffered losses, but the victory was clear. The Zarkon retreated, leaving the Coalition fleet in control of Taylor V. Back on the Starlight Runner, cheers filled the room. Jessa's role was praised by allies and humans alike. The victory sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Stories spread of the unpredictable humans who dared to fight the deadliest species, and won. Varkesh, the Zarkon warlord, received word of the defeat. His rage was fierce. No one had ever outsmarted him like this before. He vowed to crush the Alliance and teach humans their place. But deep down, he knew something had changed. Humans were no longer weak. Their courage and cleverness made them dangerous. Jessa looked at the stars, thinking about the battles ahead. The war was far from over, but now humanity had earned a new kind of power. The power of hope, unity, and the human edge.